aficionado? Welcome into another episode of That Recap Show, the live edition. So anything can happen. But before we get into it, just want to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be talking about, all of the latest movie news and craziness that's been happening. But we're also going to dive into the entire first season of The Sandman. So if you haven't seen that yet, and you don't want to get that spoiled, we will give another spoiler alert out. We're not going to talk about it first. We're going to get into it a little bit later into the video. So definitely stay tuned, but we'll give you another spoiler alert. So in case you haven't checked out Netflix original The Sandman series yet, and you don't want any of that spoiled for you, we'll give you that later on. But with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right. I'm always dancing back here, just in case you were ever wondering. Joining with me to break down all of the latest movie and TV news and the first season of The Sandman, it's Jon Jon Rico.
Me too.
I know. I can see you in the little box.
Yeah, it's fun. It really gets me going.
Hey,
everyone.
Like
hey,
the perfect generic rock music, and it's just
it
like,
really
all
is.
right.
So good.
It's Friday afternoon. Let's hang out. Let's move around a little bit. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. You can't do cheers and not drink it.
Damn. Sorry, I was doing two things at once.
All right, so
always great when you're drinking.
So much to get to, and I mean, look, the best part about having our recap videos recorded on Thursday and then having a live show on Friday is we've talked everything that we wanted to about the She-Hulk. But if there's any comments that get mentioned on the video, which we did have 2 comments on the video already since this morning, we get to bring them up here, which is awesome. I just thought about that as a follow-up to our recap video.
Anything we forget, we can always just bring up here.
Exactly. But Martin had 2 comments that I absolutely agreed with, mostly because I said them in our video. But he was just talking about he cannot wait to kind of see all of the cameos that come in, and he thinks and he kind of agrees with us. He hopes that they bring them in and give us a little piece or breadcrumb of what's going to happen with them, and then they leave, because then it gives us that main storyline for Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk, and then it gives us these little cameo things that then let us just kind of theorize about what's going to happen with the rest.
Yeah, I totally agree. It goes in line with exactly what I was saying. Like when they bring them in, it's almost like here's your special guest, but it's not only that, but they're not only helping out Jennifer and her story, but they're also going to tie in threads of what we're going to see later on in the future with them. Like, you got to give us little nuggets to look forward to,
Absolutely. I think that's the perfect way to do it. I don't want them to ever overshadow it's the She-Hulk series, so she's got to be the main character. But I think they're doing it right. I do like having some cameos in there, because then you get the allure of we got we're seeing Abomination. We haven't seen Abomination since Shang-Chi, so it's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Again, one thing I really do like is how they're making the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie feel like a part of the MCU again.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt like that was a movie that was thrown to the wayside, except for General Ross, who's kind of been the only real thread to that movie up until this point. And I'm really glad that if you're a fan of that movie, it's kind of cool to see it get a little more attention again.
I gotta go back and watch that, because I know I watched it, but I don't remember watching it. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? I know what happens, but I just don't remember the last time. It's been forever since I've watched it. Basically,
it's that Bruce story that I think we're always missed. We got Bruce now as a part of the main Marvel world, but we still want that singular Bruce story back again. So I think that's why a lot of people are looking forward to what they're going to do with him in the future.
Fingers crossed on that. But anyway, we are here to talk about new news and rumors mostly, at least from me. There's some facts, and then there's some rumors, and there's some little breadcrumbs. But anyway, so I'm gonna kick us off. So just with a little bit of housekeeping news, and I mean, I know you have some stuff on here also kind of talking about the same day, but the first thing I wanted to mention was Thor: Love and Thunder. I feel like this was just in the movies. Is going to be part of the Disney Plus Day release. Basically, we will be getting the streaming premiere of Thor: Love and Thunder. I believe it's September 8th, Disney
Yeah.
Plus Day.
I was really hoping it'd be out already, like within that 45-day window that you usually do. You usually would, I think it was. I was hoping it would come out in sometime in August, but
but
fortunately, it didn't happen.
it just seems so soon. Wasn't it out in July?
Early July, yeah. But again, that would make it like mid to late August that it would be available to put on streaming by then.
Yeah.
Usually, that's what they've been doing is 45 days and then putting
Maybe
it
they
out.
extended it because it stayed in the movies for a little while longer.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they're just kind of starting to let up a little bit on that time window.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I have a JPEG for it. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful
Also,
poster.
we got all the links for the Steelbook. I haven't bought any physical movies in a really long time, but the
Same.
Steelbooks, like I could be talked into for some movies. I could be talked into buying them because they're always so nice looking.
Yeah.
But I just can't.
Yeah, there was a point where I was like, I had to make it a point to have like at least every MCU movie on Blu-ray because I liked having that kind of that list of DVDs to go from. And, in case streaming stuff went down, I didn't have a way to watch it. I could at least watch it like that. And I
I
want to
think
say it's somewhere around like Doctor Strange, maybe that I was like, I just kind of started to peter off with it. But yeah, I kind of want to go back and get at least a few of them on Blu-ray again. I got all that Infinity War.
you know what one looked really cool? I just couldn't wait because it got released digitally so much sooner. No Way Home.
Oh yeah, see, I need to get.
Yeah.
I don't have any of the Spider-Man ones on Blu-ray, and I really need to.
I bought that really cool bundle digitally that came with
with the 8 movies.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I on top of that I bought Into the Spider-Verse. So I have literally every Spider-Man content that you can have. I have. So just saying. That's if anyone wants to have a viewing party for Spider-Man stuff,
Yeah.
I got the hookups.
You
Anyway,
got the host right here.
moving on. We're moving on to like I guess teasers for me at least. So we just got a photo that got tweeted out from the Stranger Things writers. And it's on Twitter at Stranger Things writers. It wasn't like one of the actual
Yeah, it's
directors.
the verified page, right?
Right, yeah. So basically, they threw this out and said that they're in the grid planning writing stage for the new season of Stranger Things. And it looks to be that it's going to be 8 episodes. Now, it could just be because the board only fit 8 episodes, and maybe there's really 10, and there's another board that we're not seeing. But as of right now, some sources are promoting that there's going to be an 8-episode season. We don't have runtimes, we don't have titles, we don't have anything. But
it fits the pattern that they've done 8 pretty much every time, except for maybe 2, and if they do, it's usually 9. But I think 8's a pretty solid way. And they're like you started with 8 solid episodes that all matter.
I mean, it also depends on runtime. Just like you were talking with the She-Hulk video.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're 8 short episodes, yeah, we should have got more. But if they're 8-hour-long episodes, like
yeah, well, yeah, I've come around on that too. Now you mentioned it because I forgot that She-Hulk's gonna be 9 episodes this season. Because I've been so used to getting the 6 1 hour.
Yeah.
And one thing I kind of appreciate is how they're taking like the episodic approach to it as opposed to like this 6-hour movie approach that a lot of these shows have been doing. And like when I kind of look at it from that perspective, it makes a lot more sense. That's for sure. But we were talking about, yes, thank you for bringing this up because we were talking about the Hulk and the breathing techniques and stuff like that. Really cool Easter egg for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fans, especially that scene where he's doing his breathing control. He's actually with the legendary Rickson Gracie, who is like probably considered the greatest of all the Gracie fighters in the family. And so and he's known for some pretty wild breathing techniques that he can do with like just his diaphragm. And here it's pretty awesome stuff. If you actually want to look it up online, it's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah, but that's really cool Easter egg. I'm really glad that my boy DB over here brought it up.
That's awesome. Speaking of breathing techniques, this has nothing to do with anything TV or movie related. I started doing vocal training for an upcoming tour that I happen to be doing. And so I have to do all these weird breathing techniques and stuff, and now I've started incorporating it like with the rest of the band because I'm like, guys, I can't do this on the train on the way to practice. I have to do this like when I get here. So like I've shown them that, and they're all giggling at me the entire time. It's like a room of a bunch of guys, and we're just like all giggling because I have to do all these weird breathing techniques.
That's awesome.
Look for behind the scenes footage from tour because they're all going to be just of us giggling because we're going to come up with like warm up stuff that we have to do because none of us are used to being on tour for as long as we have to go. Anyway, back to what we've got to talk about. I will be mentioning tour as it gets closer more and more, I'm sure. But moving on to something that I am very excited for because I've had my heart broken and then happy again and then have my heart broken again. I'm speaking of the series Futurama, which
the revival.
Yes. Also, I have to say, not only that, Futurama is, and I have to find it. I have to use it. I saved it for this very purpose. Futurama has those episodes that are always full of this.
Emotional damage.
They sure do. One in particular, I never will forgive.
Is it the dog episode? Seymour? Anyway, so Hulu is actually reviving Futurama again. Not that Hulu's done it before, but Futurama has been revived multiple times. And and Hulu is doing it this time. And we actually got the reveal of 10 episodes and their titles, basically.
Do you want to go back and forth reading all these titles?
Sure.
Sure. Why don't you do the first one?
All right. Episode number 1 is The Impossible Stream.
Episode 2 is Rage Against the Vaccine.
Episode 3, Zap Gets Canceled, which I cannot wait to see.
Episode 4 is The Prince and the Product.
Episode 5 is Related to the Items You Viewed, which okay.
Episode 6 is Children of a Lesser Bog. Okay.
Episode 7 is How the West Was 101001.
Episode 8 is I Know What You Did Last Xmas. So
I cannot wait for that episode. This is awesome. Episode 9 is Parasites Regained. I really hope that has to do with the worms that Fry ingested that one time from the gas station sandwich. I hope they come back and make him like a superhero again. That would be awesome.
And then episode 10 is simply just called All the Way Down. So, and who knows what that could mean? It could be, we're going all the way down to the end. Who knows what we're doing here? But
yeah, I cannot wait though. And the fact that we're getting all of the original voiced cast back, like they
got John DiMaggio back, right?
Right. They finally got him to agree, and they're all back. I'm super stoked for all 10 episodes now. I can't wait.
I need to go back and rewatch the show because I did watch it several years ago, like once or twice. Death by Snoo Snoo.
It was an egg salad. I knew it was a gas station sandwich. I couldn't remember if it was tuna or it was egg salad, so I didn't want to say it. I just knew it was from a gas station.
That's awesome.
Oh boy! All right. Well, from exciting and fun news that we cannot wait to see because it's going to happen because as of right now, Hulu is being propped up by Disney. We go to the dumpster fire that is WB
shit show
and HBO Max. And the head of that is just constantly saying everything is fine while everything's on fire. So we got the news that not only are things being canceled still, which is terrifying because I never know. Like we know some stuff's safe, but really, until we actually see the next season, we don't know if they're safe.
Yeah, until it goes into production. And even then, once it even finishes production, I don't even know.
Was finished with production.
Yeah. Funeral screenings, first of all. Ugh. But so even the fact that that's a term going around is just like the saddest thing in the world.
So what I am really, really sad about is we were supposed to get a prequel to Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
I loved Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond were
Bruce Timm.
What?
It was by Bruce Timm too, who was behind all that, and I love Bruce Timm stuff.
If we were supposed to have the original voice actor back for the prequel, like, I mean, it was.
Well, there is a silver lining to that. I think it's called the Cape Crusader, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. I couldn't remember the actual title.
But the show's not gone completely. I think they said they are allowed to shop it to other places. So that's kind of the good thing, is that we actually can still see it. It's just not going to be under the HBO Max banner, where of course all the other DC stuff is. So it'd be cool just to have it under that collection. But the fact that there is still a possibility of it being shopped around to other places and possibly being, maybe like either like a Netflix or even, I don't know, wherever else it can go, will be pretty great.
Maybe Disney buys DC.
Yeah.
Look, the Discovery Warner Brothers are trying to save money and make money. Just sell DC over to Disney, and then we'll get another section on Disney Plus. That'll be the DC section, and that's what we get.
So I'm gonna keep holding out hope for DC every single time, even though it just feels like I'm riding the dying ship. But like, there's some of the best comics I've ever read, and I want to see that stuff on screen. And so
I have no hate for DC. I actually think the best thing in the world would be if Disney bought DC, because then DC would never fail. I'm more worried about DC failing because it's owned by a company that seems to be making very poor choices. Like that's all I'm going to say about that. Like I want DC and Marvel to actually be rivals, like so that they were making their films better and better and better and better with content. Like that's what I want. I don't.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if like streaming services could like buy up IPs, but then again, that would also eliminate like theatrical possibilities. But so it's like you gotta rely on some of these like production companies, and there's very few big ones out there that can really handle properties like this. So it's like you either got to go one or the other. The only other one would be like Sony and stuff like that. We already seen what they do with stuff. So it's just like I just want them to find somebody that wants to do it and get it right. Because the stuff they get right, they get right. Like when it's good, it's good. But it's when it's bad, it's bad. That's the whole thing.
I mean, speaking of one of the things I thought like they did well was Shazam, and so now we just got the news that the Shazam sequel, Fury of the Gods, has now been pushed back to March 17th, 2023. March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, right?
I think so.
Seems like
around that area.
Very odd. Like, cool, push it back to March. But it's a very odd choice to push it back to St. Patrick's Day. Like, to have that as kind of a release. Anyway.
Well, it is on a Friday, so.
Yeah.
It is St. Patrick's Day. I had to double check.
Yeah. But, so that got pushed back to 2023, into March. And we got Aquaman 2, which was supposed to be on March 17th, 2023. Got pushed back all the way to Christmas Day, 2023.
Yeah. I think I remember the first one came out around Christmas time, if I'm not mistaken. So
it did, and I have a funny story.
If it did well in that time, maybe they think it's going to do well in that time period, or in like on that time slot again.
It didn't come out at like on Christmas Day.
I know well, December, the December area.
It came out like early December because I think there was another movie that came out Christmas Day that was bigger. But anyway,
it might have been like the week before Christmas.
It might have been because I just know I was visiting family, and me and my dad went and saw Aquaman. So I know it was out close to Christmas, but it was out before Christmas.
I like that movie.
So yeah.
But we were talking about this after we recorded yesterday about the Shazam thing, that there's actually kind of like a silver lining to this as well. We're talking about silver linings with the last piece of news, but there's a silver lining to this as well, is that the director is actually pretty happy with this news because December this year is going to be stacked with Avatar. And they're taking up all the IMAX screens, they said. So he goes, yeah, dude, give us that March time slot. Let me get some IMAX screens and we get to watch Shazam in IMAX. So it's like
not only that, but
box office wise, it helps it too.
Yeah. Avatar's gonna get in the way. The first Avatar is gonna get in the way in September. Because we just got the announcement, or recently got the announcement. It was like just now. But the end of September is going to be when the first Avatar is going to be back in. Yeah, they're going to re-release
remastered. Like it still looks good. But what's crazy? You hear something like that and you go like, "Who's going to go see that?" And then you hear the reports that it made like $20 million. And you're like, "What?" It's pretty wild.
I'm not opposed to seeing it, but I would do it like a double feature. Like I would go see like if they like build it as like you're going to be here for 5 hours, and
Like
you're
the Marvel MCU marathons, but
yeah, but
just the
like
2 movies.
yeah, obviously much shorter. But
Yeah, yeah.
2 movies doesn't
But
seem bad. I
I feel like
wouldn't.
most franchises should do that with their stuff. So like it gets people who want to go see it like fresh on the story, and it
Mhm.
goes right into it. Might only make people appreciate the movie more.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I 100% agree. I need to rewatch the first Avatar because when I first watched it, I liked it. And then as time went on, I kind of see like some of the little issues on how like it's just kind of like like a pretty cookie cutter story. Uh, but technologically, the thing's a marvel when you think about it. That, no pun intended. But but it's really like a really great advancements in filmmaking that that movie did, and the fact that it still looks good over 12 years later, I think it is. But it's pretty
I
fascinating.
just like you, I remember liking it when I saw it. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't like this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. Like it wasn't that, but I do remember enjoying it. So I'm
It's
not
an
opposed.
experience. Like the movie's an experience, whether it's you think it's good or not. Like
Right,
it's watching a movie like that is pretty cool.
right.
Like, it's just seeing what they can do with that kind of technology.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what do you got as far as new movie news, TV news, stuff like that?
Oh man, I got some good stuff.
I know you
So,
do.
um, actually, just today, this kind of went from a rumor to more actually like official news. Matt Shackman, who is famous for WandaVision and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, he's directed a lot of episodes of that. Really good
Ooh,
TV director. He's actually in now official talks to direct Fantastic Four, which I think is fantastic. um, I really like that he's making this leap into the film world. I need to look at see if he's actually done any film before, but as far as like his growth in the MCU goes, going from WandaVision, which was really uh great, one sitcom TV storytelling as well as deep uh MCU storytelling within with all the stuff with Wanda and and Agatha and all that and the eventual Scarlet Witch. The way he handled Scarlet Witch in general was really great.
yeah,
And I'm really excited to see him step into the film world with a big project like the Fantastic Four. Um my only question is like again, what are they going to do with the Fantastic Four? Like, if we're going to go back in time with this, are they going to be a modern day team? Who's going to be the Fantastic Four? Like, there's
yeah.
so much to look forward
I mean,
to
we
with
got
this.
D
Does
twenty
this movie
three
come out
coming up.
next year or 2 years?
I don't
Oh, it's the
have.
end. It's the end of phase 4. I think that's what they said, right? Or the
No, it's
beginning of
phase.
phase 5,
It's in phase
phase 6.
6. I don't know.
Oh, there's
I
so
got
much
rid.
going on right now.
I
Oh, okay.
literally.
No,
I will say
Wakanda
this.
Forever is ending phase 4.
I literally just deleted the JPEGs I
The
had of
graphic.
the graphics I had of
Yeah.
phase 5 and phase 6
Damn
because I
it.
put so many graphics up yesterday and I put
Yeah.
the same amount of graphics up today and I
Oh
like hit
man.
the limit, so I literally just deleted those 2 today.
That's
So I was like,
okay.
"Oh,
Okay.
I should have
Okay.
these."
But I have to imagine it's going to be shooting within the next year or so. But
Yeah.
oh man.
The
But
casting rumors have been crazy around that movie.
yeah.
And
Just what everyone wants everybody for this, for
no,
this movie.
but what's crazy about it is I could be talked into liking all of them. Like every
Oh
single
yeah.
rumor that I've seen, because I trust Marvel casting. Like at this
Yeah.
point,
Everyone gets the benefit of the doubt for me.
I've heard Jason Segel is the thing. Like, and
I love that.
I was like, all right,
He if you haven't watched the Winning Time, the Lakers HBO TV show that came out earlier this year, he's in that and he's very good in that.
I have
Like
not seen that.
it's a very good show. It's one of
Really?
my favorite shows this year. Yeah, dude, John C. Riley, Jason Segel. They got the oh man, what's the guy's name? He's one of the guys from Planet of the Apes. Oh, Jason Clark, I think his name is. But
Okay.
they're all the cast is phenomenal. It's
I
such a
mean,
great show.
I know Jason Segel from
Michael Chiklis.
How I Met Your Mother, and I know I Love You Man, and
Forgetting
my
Sarah Marshall.
yeah, my go-to anytime I've ever been dumped or I'm like really sad is Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I've probably watched that movie about 100 times. So
Yeah.
not that
Yeah.
I've been dumped 100 times, I've just been sad enough to watch it 100 times, and it always makes me feel better. But-
Yeah, dude. That's what I love about the Fantastic Four is that each character is very different, and so you can
right.
cast very different actors for each role. And then, but yeah, and I'm really excited for Matt Shack. If Matt Shackman being involved, I feel like it's going to be a good level of humor to it too, because
Yeah.
direct a show like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia to have a good sense of humor. And
I'm
so
calling it right now. Danny DeVito is the thing.
that'd be great. I was gonna be like, Charlie Day is the thing. Like, that'd be like the most random thing in the world. But yeah, I'm really happy for that news. We're going to move on to our next story, which was talking on to we were talking about Disney Plus Day earlier with Thor's
Where?
release, but I would say like a week ago, we got a great trailer and announcement for the Obi-Wan Kenobi behind the scenes documentary, basically. And I love these specials whenever they put these out on Disney Plus. They always like going behind the scenes of Star Wars though is how they let you know the way the crew is just like us, the way these movies resonate with them and make you feel like a kid again. And you see how much fun everybody has on set. Like they just have a way of tapping into that weird emotional spot to you, especially if you're a lifelong Star Wars fan. Um, but the trailer for this was just fantastic. Seeing Hayden and Obi-Wan, Hayden and Ewan McGregor together again. He's in the. I don't know if you watched the trailer before we watched it. Yeah.
I started watching the trailer. I need to finish it. I made my. We'll pull the curtain back. I was making a drink and watching the trailer, so
Okay.
I didn't finish it because I made the drink a lot quicker than I thought.
Gotcha.
Cheers.
Cheers. You said you can't cheers and drink.
I didn't see. I thought you were gonna start talking. People out there talk while we cheers.
So yeah. But there's a great shot in the trailer where Hayden talks about when he sees it's that scene in the show where Obi-Wan has that little hallucination where he sees Anakin out in the distance in his robe. And he goes, I yelled out, Obi-Wan. He goes, I just saw a hand go up and goes, that was his first day on set, whatever that. And I was like, oh my God, they're gonna like totally tap into those moments and just make you go like, oh, like I live for those I think they call them the gallery specials they usually do on
right.
like Mandalorian and Boba Fett.
Right.
Just yeah, so good. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that and kind of just revisiting those Obi-Wan days. Cheers, sips water. Hey, there you go. Stay hydrated.
It's Friday afternoon. I still got to work after this, but
I know. Me and DB were playing Fortnite earlier, so I'm glad he's here right now.
Oh,
yeah. Me and him are from. He comes from one of my streaming communities, so it's just really cool.
Very cool. And you're very close, by the way. Just as another side note, we're drifting way off, but
we always do.
You're very close to convincing me to start streaming and doing some Twitch.
It's really fun, man.
I'm thinking about it. I haven't decided, but I'm thinking about it. Anyway,
yeah, you'd be great. Do it. You'd be great.
Hello there.
I can't invest in all the stuff that you have though.
You don't need. You could just be a minimalist. You don't need everything I need. You could just do everything with a simple setup. This is what you do when you try too hard. All this is just trying too hard.
Anyway, back to what we're actually talking about right now.
Yeah.
So moving on from that, which I'm very excited about. Not only are we getting the behind the scenes look at Obi-Wan, but we're also getting I don't know what they call it for Marvel gallery also, but we're getting the behind the scenes video for Thor: Love and Thunder also.
I didn't think they call them the Assembled. I think
that's it.
Yeah, the MCU Assembled. Yeah. I love those too. I am so behind on those though too. Like I think I literally have to go all the way back to like maybe Eternals and stuff like that. Like I have all that to still watch as far as behind the scenes stuff still goes.
Because once we finish a series and we put like a wrap on it, I'm like,
we have to go right to the next one.
Yeah, which is good and bad because it's like I just forget that like, oh, they're gonna put something behind the scenes out. I just don't even. It doesn't compute with me type of thing.
Yeah, the good side of that is that I always have something to watch.
Oh yeah,
yeah, which is really good.
What else?
Yeah. So, if anyone who's a Game of Thrones fan, House of the Dragon premiered last week and had the biggest premiere in HBO history. I think they said I can't remember the amount of viewers they said they had, but it was a stupid amount. I don't know if anyone saw the TikTok or anything of the apartment building where all the windows were going off with the lights at the exact same time because they were all watching House of the Dragon at the same time. It was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like it was like one of those classic New York apartment buildings. You just see probably like 16 to 20 windows, and maybe like 14 of them are all doing the same exact lights and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
That's actually, yeah, like that's not how you know that
I
people
have
are
not
really
seen
excited to
that
be
yet.
back in this world. Yeah, I'll have to send that one to
Yeah,
you.
send me that. I want to see
I
that.
will. But yeah, the first episode was fantastic, and I'm really glad to be back in this world again. I was telling somebody earlier, like I love just any kind of world and lore and like or lore and world building stuff. So that's why I love things like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and Marvel, like everything. As long as you're just taking something and just expanding and expanding, expanding, and making everything connect together. And I
Yeah.
feel like very few things do that better than Game of Thrones with the rich history involved with all this the characters and stuff like that. Like you gotta think about this for a book series, the way they have like maybe hundreds of thousands of years of family timelines like all mapped out. Um and the way they were to make this show and like tie into events into Game of Thrones and let you know how like it's like almost 200 years before, but there still gives you that same vibe of it. And, it's all familiar because you know these families a little bit already. But the fact that okay,
No, they
the news of this is that after the first episode, it's already renewed for season 2. And we're already gonna get season 2, and we probably knew that, but we're gonna get like 4 or 5 seasons at least. I feel like with this show, and they're just probably like, okay, we're not gonna leave you hanging this long. We're just gonna tell you after the first episode, yeah, we got more one season coming. Like that's basically much what they're doing, and I'm really happy about that.
All right. That means that season 1's definitely going to end on a cliffhanger, knowing that you automatically already get a second season.
Yeah, and we expected to get a season 2, so we already know that it's gonna expand on that and leave us wanting more anyway. So just deliver it already, you know. But boy, this okay. We got one more going back to the whole HBO Max dumpster fire stuff.
You mean this?
Yeah. Yeah, that. So it looks like we might have our new head of DC films and television in Dan Lin, who he is the producer of movies like the live action Aladdin. He did the Lego movie and he did It Chapters 1 and 2. All pretty good movies in my opinion. I like the Aladdin movie personally.
I don't think I ever watched it.
I dug it. It's a pretty faithful adaptation of the story, but also Will Smith makes the genie his own thing, even if it's like he never top. Everyone knows you can't top Robin Williams, but
Right.
he just made it his own thing, and I think it works for that movie.
That's good.
And Mia Massoud is somebody I think should show up in like an MCU project at some point. He's just got that kind of look for it, or Ezra in Star Wars. But yeah, it looks like he could be like our Feige for DC. The details seems to be like that his role is going to kind of overstep a lot of different heads of the WB divisions, and he's just going to report straight to the new I think CEO is Zlowski. I always forget the guy's name, David Zlowski or something like that. But basically they're just going to be like, hey, yeah, you're going to be in charge of not even just the movies but the TV as well. But I think that's actually kind of that could be a good thing for DC, because the TV and the movies have always gone like on their own thing. You've had like the CW TV stuff, and then the movies, and then there'd be the movies have their own TV shows. So everything kind of felt like disjointed and not cohesive enough.
It was a multiverse. It was all happening.
Yeah, but you could do it like Marvel is doing now. You could do a multiverse and still make it feel like it's connected in some form.
Look,
whereas when they would do it, it was like, okay, we'll just throw like a little cameo of this show and this show, and then they'll be multiverse. It's kind of like what they would do.
Oh, are you speaking of the Arrowverse? Is that what you're speaking of right now?
Yes and no, because the Arrowverse did it well, but then there'll be like at the end where just be like, okay, we're gonna throw in shots of like the Doom Patrol, and the one thing that did do good was the Flashes interacting in that show, which that was one of the coolest things in TV, like superhero TV. It was watching
the Flash
TV
by
Flash and movie
far
Flash.
was the I think the best CW DC
oh
show.
Man, the Arrowverse in its heyday was like some of the best.
I wasn't ever seeing it in real time, so I went back and watched when the Flash went on Netflix. I went back and watched all of it until like I caught up, and then they'd have those episodes, and it would just be like, go watch Supergirl next week, and I'd be like, but
Right.
the Supergirl isn't on Netflix. Like it is now, but it wasn't at the time, and I was just like,
Yeah.
what
Release
happens?
schedule was wonky back then because it'd be like you had to wait until the week before the season starts, and then they would throw the previous
Right.
season on Netflix. And like, okay, I'm gonna watch 24 episodes and then start watching the TV show. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then eventually they kind of changed that to where they would go on Netflix like the week after the finale. Um, and then yeah, but Supergirl was a weird one because of CBS. It went from CBS to CW first, and then it was like it felt like two different shows at that point.
I
But
liked the meetups, but I was
yeah,
just like,
oh, the meetups were all great.
when I went all the way through Flash, because that was
Yeah.
like the one that I was most interested in. When I went all the way through Flash and they had those meetup episodes, it would be like, here's episode 3 of 4. And it was just like the next episode on the in the rotation
Yeah,
on Netflix.
because it'd
And
be like one episode was on Supergirl,
what
but the second episode was on
just
Flash.
happened? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like all hell's breaking loose. And I'm like, that was not what happened the last
Yeah,
episode of
it
the
definitely
season.
started to get convoluted at at a point. But that little era of like when Arrow introduced Flash like very subtly, and then all of a sudden you're like, next year Flash is coming, and they're like, oh my god, they're actually like doing a thing, and it was actually like quality television too. Like I was actually really surprised, and then it just kind of turned into like a caricature of itself, and then just unraveled. So again, I hope Dan Lin will be able to kind of like take the movies, build shows off the movies, like they're doing with Batman currently with the Penguin show, and I hope they're still doing the Arkham Asylum show. I haven't heard much on that. We know that the Penguin show is still coming.
Well,
But I want, and then Peacemaker and stuff like that. Like if you can
that's
all
what I was
fucking
gonna
blend
say.
that, blend
That's
not
what
all in.
Lin can do whatever he wants, but don't mess with Peacemaker and don't mess with Harley Quinn. Like let's leave the Harley Quinn cartoon and Peacemaker. Let them just keep doing what they're doing. Let them just keep rolling, because both everything I've seen from the Harley Quinn cartoon and everything I've seen from season 1 of Peacemaker, like both of them. I love both of them.
Yeah.
And I don't want anything to change. I just
DC television is really good. Like the TV, like or like when they do TV, right? It's really good. It's
Right.
always the movies that kind of, because you rely on the movies for the money, and if those aren't doing what the company is not going to be good.
Right. Anyway, so Dan Lin, don't fuck this up.
Yeah. What's up, Titans? Yeah, we got season 4 of Titans coming up too. Thank God.
So I feel like I bring this up every single time we get into DC TV shows talk. I really wanted to like Titans because I love Teen Titans.
I like Titans.
I love Teen Titans. Like Teen Titans Go. Yeah. I don't even care.
I do have issues with Titans, but I do like Titans.
It was a big swing, and I don't know. It just doesn't. Maybe I have to watch more, and I'm totally down to, because I can.
Are you first season only?
I think of Titans, I think I've only watched the first season.
Okay, I always thought season 2 was better, and then
you said it got better after season 2. So that means I got to. It got better
after season 3 is good, but I think season 2 is there's improvement. Each season is a step up in my opinion, because my only real gripe is that like they don't do much with Beast Boy as far as like his powers. Like they do limit him to pretty much just the tiger in the show, and I always thought that was like a big miss on his character. Like that's the only thing he can seem to only do, and I'm like, come on, man, I want to see him do like other stuff. And I'm like, maybe it's just them not being able to give the budget to the show for them to do other stuff like that. Yeah. So again, it's just that show and Doom Patrol kind of being held back, but Doom Patrol is also coming out too, and I love that show.
I did like Doom Patrol. I haven't watched it because I honestly, I'll be completely transparent and honest.
I'm behind on the last season as well.
I always forget to watch. Like, look, I don't have a lot of time.
They released it all at once too. I wish they would do weekly stuff with it. I think they might have done weekly. I'm not sure.
I don't have a lot of time to watch anyway, especially because we recap a lot of shows, and so like I keep up with a lot of those, and I keep up with a lot of the movies that are coming out and stuff like that. So I don't have a lot that are kind of, side shows, I guess, for me. But I definitely when I actually sat down and watched Doom Patrol, I think I went through the entire first season, because I remember liking that. And I mean, you got Brendan Fraser as a robot. Of course I'm going to like
He's great in that show.
Like, So I did enjoy that. I just always feel bad because anytime somebody mentions Doom Patrol, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta watch that. Like it's one of those things. And then like as soon like 20 minutes after we stop this live, I'm gonna completely forget about
True.
Super Chill again.
Same.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
100%.
so what do we got? Hey, Martin.
Martin's here. Oh well, you didn't watch the Sandman. Well, your timing's impeccable, Martin.
Yeah, we are literally. I mean, that's the perfect introduction. We are literally just about to start. Aloha, Martin. Martin, how about this? How about this? You fly me and Rico
Yeah.
to Hawaii, and we will sit there and do a live recap
In your living room.
of the entire Sandman season 1 for you, so that you don't have to watch all of the episodes. You can just listen to our recap. We'll do it for you live.
Bad timing. Okay. Yeah. No, we're good. Okay. Yeah. No. Or yeah, catch the VOD. You know.
Anyway, yeah. Watch us on demand. So that's the perfect transition, perfect segue. Spoiler alert, we are going to be going over everything that happened in season 1 of the Sandman series on Netflix. So you have been warned. The musical. You have been warned. Oh, wait. Okay. Give me some time to save up for your flights.
All right, we're good.
I mean, I am
24 hours.
100% in on that. How about the deadline for saving up is before season 2 starts. So that is the deadline date. We can give you the entire refresher and the entire recap of season 1. It just has to be the day, at least the day before season 2 starts.
Boom. Nailed
Boom.
it.
But log off now because we are going to be talking about everything. So if you haven't seen it yet, that's your spoiler warning. Anyway,
let's do it.
Motherfucking Sandman.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. Like, I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say that I didn't like it, but I know you enjoyed it on a whole different level than I did.
Well, I want to know your thoughts first, so let me know. Don't.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I didn't dislike it in any way. It was just like I had never read the comics for it, so I knew nothing about it. So I was getting into it, and I was just like,
yeah, I went into it fresh.
You gave me, I mean, you watched it before me, so you kind of gave me little hints and little things, and it didn't affect what I was watching, but it reaffirmed some things that I probably would have started to think on my own. The first thing you gave me that I wanted to bring up was you mentioned Constantine, and we do have a different character, a different version of Constantine.
Yeah, it's a relative of John who was kind of used to replace John as well.
Right. Also, every time I saw her, I could only think of her as the Doctor's companion from Doctor Who.
That's who she is, yeah.
Yeah. So forever, no matter what role she's going to be in, I'm always going to think. I think her name was Clara on Doctor Who. I always think of her like as that because I thought that was a really good role and that was a good season of Doctor Who. Anyway, but I just I got the vibe of Constantine. Because I really did like the Keanu Reeves movie Constantine, and the entire season I kind of and like I said, it may have been because you mentioned that before I really dug into the season, but just with everything that we're dealing with, we had spells, we had all of this stuff kind of going on. It just really gave me that vibe of Constantine. And
did you ever see the CW version of Constantine, Matt Ryan's version?
I saw him on
his own show to that.
I saw him on. Didn't his show get canceled like right away?
This show got canceled after one season, and they brought him into the CW Arrowverse as part of the Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow, but I saw.
And then he also voiced the animated Constantine in the movies.
I didn't watch any animated, but I saw his original series. I saw the first 3 episodes before it got taken off or something.
He's a lot of people's favorite Constantine. Yeah, for sure.
He was great. I had nothing wrong, but it just gave me that vibe in a good way. And to a very, very, very lesser extent, I was getting Matrix vibes. And I even remember texting you that I was getting Matrix vibes. And I wanted to clarify, and I thought this was the perfect time to clarify on that. But it was just like, I mean, obviously, number one, main character's name is Morpheus. So anytime they said Morpheus, it's like, oh, Matrix. But also, not just that, but as I was watching it, it was like the conversations were always, no matter who he was talking to, for the most part, not always, but anytime he was talking to like a deity or something like that, the conversations were always very like calm, I guess.
Cordial.
Yeah. And so it
Yeah.
almost felt like that when we had Neo kind of interacting with some of the programs and
Yeah.
where everything was kind of calm for a while and stuff like that.
A level of like mutual respect and stuff
Right.
like that. Yeah.
It just
No
kind of
hostility.
right. And it kind of gave me that kind of vibe on how like everything was very calm for big chunks of episodes, even when they were in
Oh,
like,
yeah.
situations. So that were those were kind of,
It's
if I was gonna
fascinating.
say pop culture references at all, like those were like my two kind of references like that I took away from the series and was thinking about during the series. Um, my MVP, and it's very easy to know why, is Patton Oswalt
Mm.
voicing a Raven. Um, I love his introduction. I like how he's like, "I was a human, and now I'm here." Like it was just like
Yeah. Yeah, and
every
I
time he
guess by
said
all
that.
accounts, he wasn't a very good human too. Like, I like the way he
Yeah,
kind of talked about his journey going into that, and like was a dude, and all of a sudden I'm in a Raven's body, and like,
yeah.
oh, yeah,
But I just, I mean, I love Patton Oswalt in anything, whether we get him, Parks and Rec, whether we get him in the MCU, whether we get him in this. Like Patton Oswalt, I think is always great on his roles because he's into this kind of stuff. Like he is
he's a fan.
basically one of us, so he's going to try to make his part the best it can be. And I do like, obviously he's not the main character of the series at all, but I felt like in any occasion that he was in it, I liked what he was doing. Like even in like the battle that we had where where Morpheus is in hell trying to get his helmet back.
Mhm.
He's like, dreams don't die. Like that whole
Yeah, he's the one
catchphrase
that
and
kind
that
of kicks
whole
him back
he
into gear and
yeah,
helps
he
him get the
pumps him
battle
back
back. Yeah,
up and stuff like that. Like that, I mean, I
yeah.
I texted that to you. I was like, dreams don't die. That's such a good.
It's a great line. I think it's
Yeah,
also in the trailer if I'm not mistaken,
it
but,
is. It
it's
is.
a great moment because that whole episode and the episode before that, he's just basically fighting to get Morpheus' respect because he's like, "I don't need you. I had a Raven before, and I don't need
Right.
another one."
Right.
And so the fact that he's the one that gets him back into the fight and ends up helping him get his, I think it was his mask back
Right.
was a really cool moment for them, and he kinda eventually got his respect from there.
I will say this, and then I'll let you kind of talk a little bit because I kind of mentioned some of the bigger parts that I really liked.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if I was into like the time jumping at the beginning kind of confused me a little bit. And I know it wasn't like time jump here and then back and then time jump here and then back, but it was just like I didn't even if they hadn't stated that he was there for hundreds of years, I wouldn't have even I would have been like, "Oh, he's probably there for a year or two." Like,
Really?
yeah, because
I thought they did a good job conveying that was the son, like, growing old over all those years, and the fact that Morpheus had stayed there through all that time. I don't know, I didn't have an issue with the way that time was passing in that episode. I found that to be one of the more fascinating episodes because it's obviously the one that draws you in because 'cause
right.
you're like, "What's going on here?" And the fact it's a pretty ballsy move on the show's part to have the protagonist say very little in the first episode and really have it surround the people around him, and then after that, we really see his story kick off.
I guess maybe what I don't like about that is I kind of thought like the dad, I kind of thought like the one that actually imprisons Morpheus at the very beginning.
Charles Dance, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of thought he was going to be like the asshole, and we kind of saw like
Well, he
little
was. Yeah.
like nicer things from the son. We started to kind of see like nicer like sympathy from the son. I'm like I'm really sorry. Like I don't want this. I don't want this to be happening to you and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But then when he had the option to kind of like set him free, like literally his dad's dead. Like cool, release him
Yep.
then.
Yeah. I think that kinda goes in line with what people probably do with a like, no one's ever gonna know what it's like to be in the presence of an entity like Dream. And so, of course, then when he's being told the fact, like, "You let him out, he'll kill all of us," and he's raised to think that. So he doesn't and the fact that Morpheus doesn't say a single word to him throughout that whole every time he speaks to him, he never responds to him, he just looks at him. and he can kind of tell that Morpheus is kind of like knows something about the kid, or he's doing something. But every single time he kind of has a little hope in the kid kind of takes it away, and
Right.
and it's kind of drawn from him. But so it's kind of playing both sides of the spectrum there. Like, of course, we're watching it from Dream's standpoint, but if we were watching it from the boy's standpoint, we would probably understand the way he was feeling too. Like we didn't hear his inner monologue, you know what I'm saying? So, but I think that's a really cool way they play on those themes and stuff like that, and in the way that Dream does kind of give him mercy at the end of that episode. He doesn't kill him; he just gives him, what it says, the gift of eternal sleep and stuff like that. But um, yeah, but that's kind of the stuff I really loved about this show. That episode is really the one that hooked me up from the beginning. Um, but the show really just kind of touches on a lot of really big discussion topics as far as like existential, really life topics in general, and the way they kind of handle these bigger than life mythical characters, even Lucifer, even Cain and Abel in the second
Oh yeah,
episode.
Cain and Abel, I think were two of my favorite.
Yeah, and it's the whole, the stuff with the Gregory the Gargoyle and all that stuff. The way they kind of draw you into stuff like that, and
R.I.P. Gregory, and
man,
then
yeah, and
they get another
hello,
one.
Irving, but they call him Gerving because the gargoyles must start with G and stuff like that. Like, I really love the way they were kind of taking. First of all, Neil Gaiman, known as one of the probably the best comic book writers of our time, uh, and this is definitely like his story of all stories, I would say. Um, the fact that like he considered this an impossible story to adapt at some point, and I think he said the one thing that he is really glad that he thought is that he never told anybody else it was impossible, because otherwise we never would have gotten the show. And we really got some phenomenal performances in the show from like not even just like the main cast members, but even like those side characters like Cain and
Right.
Abel, like seeing those characters and how every episode feels like its own story. Again, like a comic book issue. The first half of the episode is really just um like its own volume, like volume one of a comic book, and then after that, it just turns into like volume two of a comic book because it's two stories in one season essentially.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, I would say the cream of the crop of this season is episodes 4, 5, and 6. Of course, the first one being with Lucifer and all that, and the battle in hell that we were talking about, and even just watching Dream walk through hell to get to Lucifer, and them telling us like all these different ideas of hell that we've always grown up thinking like, hell, the fiery place that where you just burn and stuff like that. But then to say he walks in there, as soon as they get there, it's really cold here in hell. And it's like, okay, this is like they're giving you a really different, more realistic probably idea of what people think would probably hell would be like, in my opinion. And so I really love the steps they take to go into details like that. But man, let's see. My first takeaway here is I want to talk about David Thewlis. I'm not sure which. Yeah, here we go. Right there. Boom. This guy was a force in this show. I absolutely loved his character from beginning to end as John D. As like the way we see him born as a baby in the first episode, and then all of a sudden next time we see him is an old man because we learn how much time has passed and his mother's still alive and keeping him protected, but eventually he was able to like rework Sandman's ruby for himself and use it for bad, and they go through that whole story without ever having to see it, but we already understand like what he's all about. And whether it's him going in that car ride with Rosemary, the woman that he's riding around and having these great car discussion scenes with, or him just sitting in a diner and watching people unravel their lives basically in this weird way and manipulating them in the most creepy way possible. Man, it just kind of reinforced that he's kind of like one of these underrated actors that you like. If you're gonna watch him in something, he's gonna be good. And so I think you and I talked about the diner episode a little bit, but like I want to know what you thought about that episode particularly. While I take some water.
Sorry, I had a cough. I think we were coming from opposite sides on the diner episode. Not that I didn't like it, but I really enjoyed like all of the episodes where Morpheus, where we're seeing everything in the story of Morpheus play. So this episode had no Morpheus in it, obviously, and
Until
it was
the end.
right. And
Yeah.
so it was all just diner scene and these like 5 or 6 characters
Yeah.
in the diner type of thing, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Not quality wise, but I mean just things happening
Yeah.
were getting worse and worse and worse. And I felt, and
Yeah.
I told you already, I felt so bad for the waitress in that scene. Not for anybody
Mhm.
else. I think everybody else were they got their comeuppance, but I felt so bad for the waitress in that. Oh, you just deleted everything on our rundown. I felt so bad for the
Sorry,
waitress.
I wait, yeah. I hit a space button. I didn't know how it sorry. We're good.
um, from that episode, because like I get what you were saying, because you were like, yeah, she wanted to be known as the person that set everybody up and made
She was a
love
big liar.
connections, right? But I just felt bad for her because I just felt like she was so nice, and like even the part where where he goes, do you really think I'm handsome? And she goes, no, I just wanted you to like me.
See, that's the whole thing. Like, if yeah,
but
he was exposing her for being a
but
liar.
But okay, but that's a white lie. Like, look, I'm not a handsome person, but if a waitress comes up to me and says, "Hi, handsome," I'm probably gonna tip you a little bit better. Okay, like
True.
that's courtesy. Let's like being nice.
Yeah, sure. But if you've been beaten down the way that John Diaz supposedly has, and the way that he's been
Yeah,
treated, there's
but
a whole you're gonna look at things a little bit different than him. It's all about it's more about him than it is her.
right,
But
I understand that. But after that whole car ride, you just mentioned the car ride with Rosemary and everything. Like, I liked that way better.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I thought that because of all the talks that she had with him, because he spared her, and he even gave her the protection
the
necklace.
annual protection, yeah,
Yeah. And she tried to get him caught, basically, like tried to get the police called on him, type of thing.
yeah,
Um, but I just thought that, maybe he would be like, maybe I'm not gonna mess with people that much, type of
right.
thing. But it was just like that, it's just like, I'm gonna destroy all of these people. And I was just like, oh
It could be
shit.
also the power of the ruby that it had on him.
Yeah.
Because I think that's once he had the ruby in his possession, and then that's when he went to the diner, and
Mhm.
that's where everything kind of falls into place, and you start to see the other side of him come out. Like he's someone who tries to see the good in people, but if he sees like an ounce of what he considers a bad person, that's when he's going to do to them. And the waitress was an unfortunate part of that, but this whole diner situation was just like it's just a trap full of crazy people. And I really like the way they set up a character in the second half of the season through the video calls with the one girl who had the conflict with her girlfriend and stuff like that.
Yep.
And you didn't realize that she was going to be a part of the season until
Right.
later on when you actually see her. I was like, oh my god, they're like there's levels and levels to the show that they do that set
I
you up
did
for
like
what you're
that
gonna watch.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did like that.
yeah.
So,
And then but the great thing about that is that episode is followed up by my favorite episode of the season, which is episode 6, where we meet Death.
yep.
And so we're taken into this kind of like horror episode from season 5, and we're brought into this episode where Dream has gotten his stuff back, and he's kind of wallowing in self-pity a little bit. And then his sister Death here walks up and has this great conversation. It's like, okay, come on with me while I gotta do what I gotta do. And we're watching her literally lead people into the afterlife, which is um made her maybe my favorite interpretation of the Death character I've maybe seen in any form of medium. um I'm sure anyone who has like this very crazy existential fear of death, like a lot of people have, watch this and maybe even like kind of feel a little bit comfort when they watch like the way she talks about how she's there with them in the end. I'm holding their hands, stuff like that. Like she brings like almost like a beauty and grace to the idea of death that most iterations of the death character, which is usually the Green Reaper, and
With the
I'm here to
sickle. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, all that stuff. It's a whole it brings the character into a whole new light, and it's a very beautiful way of telling that form of storytelling, really. And then it leads into I think the same. I want to say this is the same episode. This whole episode of Dream going through this friendship with this guy throughout these centuries, essentially, and kind of reinforcing Dream's idea of friendship. Like he's never had a friend, and at the end of the story, like after century, like, I'm going to give you eternal life. We'll come back every 100 years, and we'll have this meet the same place. And they have a falling out at some point, but uh, the falling out makes the guy think that Dream abandoned him, but really had to do with his imprisonment, which is again great tying in back to the first episode. And so when Dream comes back out, he hits that time that marker that they usually meet. The pub they were at has been replaced over time, but he goes to this new place. He ends up finding him, and he ends up calling him a friend. It's one of the most like heartwarming endings to an episode I've ever seen. And the show brings out so many different emotions. Like there's funny moments, there's scary moments, there's really beautiful moments in this show, and I think that's why in a comic book show you don't really expect stuff like that to blend so well.
Yeah.
And I think this show did it probably better than any show I've seen this year, to be honest.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I like I said, like even when I started off, like it's not that I didn't like it and I didn't think anything was good. It's
Yeah.
just I know you got like a lot more out of it.
Yeah,
I
everything
guess.
resonates with people differently.
Right.
I don't judge people for if it doesn't affect them the way it affects me, but
Right.
it's always fun to share something that if it does hit you in a certain way, you want people to know about it. And so it's so the ways people might like show like Marvelous Miss Maisel or something like that, and then it hits them a certain way. But if I don't want to watch it, I'm probably not going to watch it. But hey, if you like that show, go watch it. Like it doesn't make it any less good or bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally agree.
And then I gotta give one more shout out here to Boyd Holbrook as the Corinthian, because that was one of the creepiest roles I've ever seen. You talk about a dude who's got teeth eyes. That is something I never would have thought about from a conceptual character. Like I remember when after watching this and I saw a really cool like cover from one of the Constantine issues. It's of the Corinthian, and he's eating a piece of steak through his teeth eyes, and I'm like, come
Nope.
on, dude. Like, yeah.
Nope.
I was like, dude, I really kind of wish I don't know if we got that shot in the show or not, but I really would have liked to gotten that. But man, he just kind of owned that role in the whole season. Like the first season, he's kind of floating around as a nightmare. But then the second half of the season, he really gets to shine with the serial killer, the serial convention, which is like a really messed up name for a convention. But oh boy, like the characters that came out of that were wild, and of course the way that all paid off with Dream, basically condemning all of them for their actions, making them they either turned themselves in, or they went even further beyond that. I'll just say that. But yeah, just like, oh my god, the show was there was so much in the show, and I haven't even gotten to watch the bonus episodes yet. Like they released bonus 2-parter that they released, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go back and watch that now. And just talking about this is making me want to like just.
I was kind of hoping you watched it so you would.
I was going to this morning.
Spoil it for me.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, thank God I didn't. But I definitely want to now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I have the last thing that I have here, and this is more of I'm hoping it's your take because I didn't put this JPEG in. You did. Is this is the comic book version or the graphic novel version?
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if we have a graphic for predictions or not, do we?
We do. Yeah.
We go there.
We got
my prediction, and then we go back to let's go back to the comic book. There we go. So my only real prediction for Sandman going forward is that they just continue to follow this format that they've been doing for the first season. Continue to follow the vision of Neil Gaiman. Be faithful to the source material. Like if you've ever seen some of these videos on Twitter where they put like footage on top of like the comic book and just showing you how exact a lot of the dialogue still is. Wow. Yeah. Like the way they like even the first episode, like you're hearing Dream's monologue stuff the way you would when you read a comic book and you see like just the monologue text. That's kind of the stuff I really love about this show, and how the word for word the dialogue is still just the same, because all the words still resonate, and it still makes those character interactions even better. So if you continue to do that and be just as faithful as you can to the story, and I just want to see it continue. I want to see what more they do. Like obviously, gotta watch that 2-parter and see what happens there. Like there was something with cats and stuff like that. I want to watch it. Yeah, like a lot of cats and animated cats and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on, but it looked wild and fun. And there's like really a lot of good actors that were cast in that too, like James McAvoy and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of like good actors in those episodes. And with Neil Gaiman involved in the show as an executive producer, I feel like if Netflix would be kind of dumb to not renew this for a second episode, isn't it? It is an expensive show, but it's the number one show in the world, and like I think like 89 countries or something like that. It's number one show on
Dang.
Netflix, so it's like clearly it's something that people want to watch and they want more of, and I haven't really seen many people say like, nah, don't give me any more of this. Like at least they're like even like you like it, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't go as far as saying like you love the show the way I do, of
Right.
course. But I'm sure you wouldn't complain we get more, right?
No,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would
Yeah, going
definitely.
right
I
back in
wouldn't
this
complain.
world. Like this
Yeah.
world is very interesting and fantastic, and the dream world is kind of rebuilding itself. So I want to see it thrive again, the way we saw
Right.
in that first shot of the episode. Like, yeah, just give me more Sandman, please.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. Like I said, I didn't have any qualms against it.
Yeah.
I would definitely I mean, maybe a second season will make me appreciate the first season even more, type of thing. Like
It's more
I
commanding voice too that Dream has, just like
Yeah.
that actor. And then when you hear him talk in real life, it's not too far off. Like he doesn't have to do much to get to there, but man, it's just like hearing him talk is like dream. I guess with no pun intended, it's dreamlike. Like his voice does feel like you're in a dream, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes from the fact that it's more monologue-y from or we're getting like the voiceovers and stuff like that, so it almost feels like what we're watching
Very
is a dream.
formal.
Yeah, and it's a very dream state type of thing.
Yeah.
We're not watching a character say these words. We're watching we're having the narration type of
Yeah.
thing, and that's what you kind of think of in as a dream state or as a dream thing type of
And
thing.
we still have several of the endless still to see. I mean, because we got little teases of Desire, Despair, who are very interesting characters themselves, and we still have like Destiny out there that we still need to see. They kind of teased that character out there too. I think there's in the mask that we saw in Desire's room. But there's still a lot to look forward to.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. And we get a second. I mean, it hasn't been officially renewed for a second season, but like you said, I mean, with its success right now, it'd be pretty dumb to not do a second season.
Right. Don't WB this, Netflix.
Yeah, get your shit together and renew it already, so everybody knows.
No.
But that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of the season of Sandman? And are you really looking forward to a second season? Do you hope that it gets renewed? And what did you think about all of the latest movie news and TV news? What are you most excited for? D23 is coming up very soon, and we're going to be covering all of the news from that. I mean, there's so much coming up before this year's over. I mean, we have a few months of a lot of material coming up from Andor, from Lord of the Rings, from Marvel, from DC. We have everything. Everything is coming up, and we are going to be here talking about it, whether it's on a pre-tape or whether it's on a live stream just like this. And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest video releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.